Right now in 2023, we have both a food and energy crisis that it looks like will get worse in the coming months and years. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. My name is David Couturier, and I have been looking into this information for well over a decade, knee deep in the trenches, trying to bring you a condensed version of the mainstream media news, getting rid of all the fluff and just bringing you the truth. In this video, I think it's important that we highlight what's happening with both food and energy. Why? I think it's kind of important. Whether you are prepared or not, it doesn't matter because it's coming anyway. That's why we've got to be ahead of the game, learning what I have to show you today. I wanted to begin by simply highlighting something that is quite unfortunate. World Food Program to suspend aid to Palestinians due to funding shortage. That's the claim anyway. I think it's important that we highlight the fact that the government has more money to spend on war at any given moment. They got an unlimited budget, unlimited for war. There's never hesitation. But when it comes to food, they don't have that. I mean, it's ridiculous. When it comes to your bridges and roads, they don't have that. But for war, they always do. Now, you take what you want from that. Now, our money, our tax dollars, some of that goes to these different institutions out there. It goes to the UN, it goes to the IMF, it goes to wherever. Why doesn't it go to the people in need? Do I even need to say that? I mean, it's ridiculous. You tell me. Do you like war? If you do, please put it down in the comments below. I would like to know. And if you do, please share why. Why do you think that it is good? Would you rather spend it on war, or would you rather spend it on food, on infrastructure, even the people in your own country? Not necessarily even those outside of it. What do you think? Okay. And then we have this next one, which is severe food shortage in Nigeria's northeast leaves children on the brink, regardless if it's children or not, regardless if this is Nigeria or Pakistan or another different country, you have the same circumstances. The money isn't getting to the people in need. Do you not think that you could potentially, with all of the billions and billions that they spend, don't you think for a second that a simple thing like clean water and some decent food, or at least enough food, is possible? Yes, of course. But the money doesn't get used that way. Let me show you this now. Pakistan default risk grows as Khan arrest may delay the IMF deal. You see, what they suggest here is that the IMF needs to loan money to Pakistan or they're going to collapse. Dollar bonds due 2031 declined to the lowest since November. External debt service seen at about $22 billion. Are they going to be able to pay that? Are they actually going to do so? You could see the bonds looking at it right now. Do you want to get in on that? Do you want to jump in? I mean, it's just showing us that they don't have the ability to pay back. They can't do so. And so what occurs? Pakistan would default or could default without IMF bailout loans. That's according to your friends at the rating agency Moody's. Now, that might actually be true, but when the IMF goes in somewhere, I'm sure many of you have read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, a very good book, of course. And what does that book tell us? Well, of course, the first thing is the IMF sets up a loan. They go in and they essentially make this loan they know they can't pay back. The terms are there. They then have control over what happens inside of these countries. It's like extortion. And that has happened many, many times before. And they can do this to bankrupt the country because they want certain resources. Who controls the IMF? Well, there's different levels to that. But who is funding the IMF? The majority of which being the United States. So you are funding the IMF. Now, if you get some situation that happens in Pakistan or a different country, do you, the individual taxpayer, see any benefit from that at all? The answer is, of course, No. So we have to start asking the question, why are we doing these things? Why is the money going to these places when it doesn't actually benefit the people? You could make the argument, if you knew 100% of every dollar that you put forth was going to feed somebody, like I'm talking 100%. Okay, clean water, okay, I put a dollar in, I get a dollar back for that help, for that needy person. You would say, sure, fine, we could do that. But when it's like, let's say either zero or maybe like just a penny, you kind of say, I think my dollar could be spent better served, maybe giving it to the guy on the street or helping out the church or whatever it is. That's just the way it goes. I mean, it's crazy. Shouldn't need to be saying this, but this is the way it is. Gas drilling collapses in the U.S. at the fastest rate in 7 years. There's many reasons for this, but of course that's a problem. And I know that some people don't want this. They want completely just go shut everything down and just go towards renewable energy. And I know that is a laudable goal. However, we need to be very clear and very cognizant of the reality, and that is we're going to be paying a lot more and we're going to see a lot more shortages if you just simply cut it off and say, no, we can't do this. We need to have this at least for a period of time, and then it could be weaned off over, a certain period, but you can't just force it to happen. You can incentivize, you could say, okay, anybody getting solar panels, okay, you get a discount, you get your taxes, all that. But to just go out there and say, no, you're going to bankrupt these institutions because there's, polluters and carbon emissions, all that, that is dangerous. That means you're going to pay more, and that means you're going to have shortages. That's a fact. That's a fact. And by the way, they hide those carbon taxes. They hide those things with all of that, basically they put it onto the producer, not necessarily on the consumer, or even better, on both. China may cancel more US corn and shift to cheaper Brazil cargoes. Watch out, my friend. You see what happens here? I warned about this during the tariff wars. I said specifically, why is China buying the soybeans, the corn, other things from Brazil when they haven't even met their obligations of the United States? They didn't even, the emperor of China didn't even go over to the US. He was busy at home. He sent his number two, and they signed that thing that wasn't even an agreement. It was not going to happen. It never was going to happen, never did happen. And now we're seeing this reversing. The tensions are higher than ever before between the United States and China, of course, because of Taiwan and other things, but the connection with the BRICS is stronger than ever. That's a huge concern also. EU considers formally banning Russian oil flows to Germany and Poland. Good luck to you. I just don't know. I mean, I feel so strongly about this because of how much people are already paying for their food and energy and the inflation levels of everybody in Europe, and you're going to go cut this off. You didn't even prepare for the next step. You've got to fill up all of that, your oils, your natural gas, and during these times right now, the storage, so that you can go through the winter. You're not even doing that. You're just saying you want to cut this off. Very dangerous policies that they're putting in place. I get it. I understand why. Okay, they want to basically shut the economy down of Russia, like that's what they're trying to do. They tried to sanction, they tried to cut off the oil and natural gas flows, and guess what? Russia is actually doing more business now than they were before, okay? Because Russia just said, oh, we can't do business with Europe? No worries, we'll increase with Asia. The US needs to double the size of its energy grid. How's it gonna do that? You're shutting down everything, you're pulling out the funding, and you're gonna I just don't get it. I don't, unless for just a second, if you wouldn't mind, picture the fact that maybe they want to create a crisis. Maybe there are institutions, whether it's the World Economic Forum, maybe it's something to do with other entities that, supranational entities that are, just behind the scenes, IMF, the World Bank, and so on, that want to create a crisis. Could that be the case? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I get very few comments, and I think people are a little too shy. I don't know why, but when you come to this channel, don't be shy, because I actually read the comments unlike those other guys. They're too busy for you, but I'm not. 12 years reading your comments, replying to your comments. Next, forget Uber Eats. Modern day homesteaders prefer to live off the land. This is good news. People are doing this more than ever before. We are in that time right now where people are planting, people are getting ready, and everybody should be thinking about this. Even if it's a couple pots on your balcony, you should be doing so, okay? These are the things that I talked about, the near future being very different than what you think. And in this video, I break down so many different aspects that most people would let go right over their head. Did you catch it? You got to watch this video. Click on it and I'll see you there.